Hi, this is the Narinac with another episode thoughts for Sailor Moon Crystal. This is, of course, for episode 12. In this episode, there's definitely quite a few changes from the manga. A part of that is basically because we have the Four Kings still alive at this point, and, they kind of need to do something with them. And just generally, just some shifts here and there, I guess, to make all the Sailor Guardians a little bit more prominent, and I'll kind of get into things as I go on, I guess. I guess for some scenes, like anything with Furuhata that was in the manga, of course, is completely gone, because in Crystal, they don't even have him down in the headquarters for Sailor Guardians. So, yeah, that's all gone. I guess another thing is that with the sword that they picked up from the moon, that was very much like a Sailor Venus thing in the manga, where she was basically the one who wielded it for the most part. But this time around, they go ahead and have actually Sailor Moon do quite a bit with it before, she actually uses it at the end, which of course was the same as the manga. But like the fact that Sailor Moon takes it so all the Sailor Guardians can unite with their power, so she can use it against Beryl. That's definitely something new, and something I kind of liked, because it did use everyone for that, even though it ended up with Sailor Moon. But of course it also gave her a good reason to be like the lone one chasing Endymion through the kind of portal up to the D points at the North Pole, or near the North Pole. I guess if any change, though, it meant that Endymion was not taking Sailor Venus with him. Instead, of course, she gets to stay with the rest of the Sailor Guardians, and that's basically more to set things up to have them face off against the Four Kings for a final time. And while I like Crystal in general, and I kind of like the idea of having the Four Kings around, I was kind of disappointed with, how their final deaths were kind of managed in this episode, since they did finally die. So we finally have an answer of what's going to happen to them after this season, which looks like they're basically going to follow with how they are in the manga. They're probably just going to be those stones that Endymion still keeps with him and can still see their spirits from. But it was kind of anticlimactic in a sense, because the Sailor Guardians, they finally get them to kind of remember who they are, and then Queen Metalia shows up and kind of rains death from above, like immediately after. And I thought that was actually kind of disappointing, because narratively it just didn't flow very well. I mean, it's like, hey, we finally remember who we are, and now we're dead, basically. I think instead, what I personally would have chosen if I had any kind of say of how the story went, was for them to actually team up with the Sailor Guardians. Maybe have Metalia show up and, like I said, kind of team up with them to, like, fight Metalia, and just have Metalia lay waste to them, and leaving the Sailor Guardians to go ahead and meet up with Sailor Moon. I think that would have worked a little bit better, other than, the sudden death after finally figuring out who they are. I just thought that was a bit of a disappointment. I mean, I don't mind the fact that in the end they did die, because honestly they lived a lot longer than, they did in the manga. So they had that going for them. And let's see. I think after that, I mean, I do like the fact that we had all the Sailor Guardians kind of together, well, outside of Sailor Moon. Not just for that scene, but because in the manga it's there's a lot of focus on like Sailor Moon and like Sailor Venus. In this, it kind of extends, so the rest of them, they get a bit to do more than, you know, they did in the manga, it feels, even though it means that Sailor Venus doesn't have as large as a role as she had. But honestly, I'm willing to more or less kind of let that go for this. But the scene with Sailor Moon and Endymion, really like that. I mean, it's... And of course some of the changes, she's there on her own, the fact that, you know, during one of her low points that we have Luna actually contacting her and, you know, informing her that it's the power of her heart that controls the silver crystal, and which of course is something new that wasn't in the manga, but it really fit in well narratively where it did. Of course we have Sailor Moon being able to reach out and get some reaction from Endymion of remembering who she is and who he is. Of course, we also have like Queen Metalia moving about, since we did have Queen Beryl get killed off earlier in this episode with the attack from Sailor Moon with the sword. And I guess more or less the first half, it kind of stepped to the manga with, you know, the defeat of Beryl and the fact that we actually got to learn a little bit more of her. I think we definitely got to learn more about her motivations and her past in this version than we did in the original anime. I think, if I remember right, in the original anime, they just kind of kept her being, you know, evil for evil's sake. I don't think they really got into her past so much as they do, like, in the manga and in, of course, Crystal. But in any case, you know, she ends up dying in that first half, and then we have the Four Kings dying in the second half, and then of course at the very end we have Endymion and Sailor Moon pretty much dying as Sailor Moon goes ahead and, as she's, you know, Luna has informed her that part of the silver crystal is in Endymion himself, which is, you know, why he's as strong as he is. So if she wants to be able to defeat Metalia, she needs to somehow get the piece that's in him and connect it to the rest of the silver crystal. Of course, Sailor Moon, she then uses a sword to pretty much kill Endymion, and then uses it to kill herself. And at the very end, which of course definitely much in the manga, and it's definitely a reminder that this series got really dark at the end of the storyline, and this is a part of it. But of course, in the original anime, it got pretty dark too, just in a very different way. Like in the original anime, it killed off all the Sailor Guardians. In the manga and Crystal, it kills off Sailor Moon and Mamoru. But of course, that's definitely not the end. As, you know, we at least have, it's kind of more or less 1.5 episodes. Since episode 14, it wraps up, or officially wraps up the storyline and starts off the next one. But we do have one more full episode of the series, and of course this is a horrible place to have a cliffhanger ending, so I really feel for anyone who happens to be watching this for the first time or is just not familiar with the manga and is watching this, because the next, the next wait for the next episode is probably gonna seem pretty hard. As, you know, we do have the 2-week wait. Thankfully, it's not a 3-week wait, as it could have been, as we've had those. But no, next month we'll finally get the wrap-up for the storyline as we start the next one. But overall, this episode, I don't think I love it as much, mainly because of some of, or like kind of that issue that I had with, you know, killing off the Four Kings. I really felt they could have handled that better, especially since, you know, they have their spirits go ahead and tell or remind the Sailor Guardians that they have their mission, and I didn't quite like that. I mean, that's not very girl power-y. Which is, you know, something that is a theme that kind of runs through Sailor Moon, and I think that kind of went against that. I think it really would have just worked out better in general, to actually have them be a little more active before their deaths, other than, you know, finally just remember and die. I definitely liked my idea better. Well, let's just say that. But in any case, really looking forward to the next episode. And yeah, because the next episode, lots of great stuff happens. Of course, you can't really see that from the preview, as, you know, they try to keep as spoiler free as possible, even though they do let one big spoiler out, which of course is kind of guessable with Usagi and Mamoru, but then again, we also get to see, you know, the next weapon that's, well, I say it's a weapon, but I'm not really sure if it actually works that much. I think it's the cutie stick, is what it's called. I could be confusing it, but, you know, Sailor Moon kind of gets her next, I will call a weapon, upgrade, and we get to see that, so that's kind of exciting. And I do like the fact that, you know, the Sailor Guardians overall are just more of them are more prominent instead of just it being Venus. Even though I love Venus and it would have been great to see so much more of her, I can understand why they made the change they did, and I can't really fault them for it. And I really hope that means that when we get to the next storyline where the Guardians don't do too much in general, they will find a way to make them do a little bit more with Crystal. Because that's kind of like the disappointing part of that storyline, is that it does go down to just focusing on Sailor Moon for the most part on that one. But there's also a lot to look forward to that one, like Sailor Pluto. And I think I'm getting completely off topic, so I'm going to end here. So yeah, like I said, I'll end. So thank you for watching. I hope you subscribe to my channel, leave a like or comment. Until next time. Bye.